Hi, movie Aircapped here today. I'm going to explain an episode from the sci-fi show, The Twilight Zone, called A Small Town. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The story opens with the harrowing news of the death of Trina Grant, the mayor of a fictional town called Littleton. She was a young, happily married woman who is incredibly respected by everyone in her community. A news report reveals that she was instrumental in raising the profile of Littleton to a quaint, bustling tourist stop by the highway. A few weeks before her death, Trina had spearheaded a key council vote that fended off the extension of the interstate highway near the town. Had the extension project gone ahead, the entire community would have been cut off from the traffic, ceasing the flow of visitors. After her tragic passing, Trina is succeeded in office by the town treasurer, John Conley. He is a shrewd, selfish businessman who had been a long-time advocate for the extension of the interstate. Now, with the death of the mayor, the project is likely to go ahead. The economic effects it will have are yet to be seen. The news then pays their condolences to the friends and family of Trina Grant, especially her husband Jason. Following this, the story shifts to 1 year later, where we see the consequences of the interstate extension. For Littleton, the infrastructure is dilapidated, and the real estate values gone down the drain. With no access from the main highway, several businesses have gone belly up. Belly up like Yoshi. The entire town now looks like a Hollywood set, straight out of a horror movie. Several residents have sold their houses for green pastures elsewhere, but the only person who has gained from this situation is Mayor John Conley. He now owns a car showroom in the town, among several other properties. A huge hoarding board even now shows his beaming face, peace, asking people not to worry if they don't have enough credit for a new car. After all, Conley owns the local bank and can easily provide anyone with a loan. This only goes on to show the iron grip he has over every facet of the community. On the other hand, Jason Grant now leads a reclusive life. He lives in the attic of the town's only church, and even works as a handyman there. The whole place is a mess with furniture, old useless stuff, photos of his late wife, and even his pet spider kept haphazardly. One morning, a local teenager named Emilio brings him some supplies. They then engage in conversation, during which Jason asks the kid about his recent sketches. To his delight, Emilio has penned quite a few cheeky drawings of the town's mayor. It seems like Connolly isn't well liked by the community, as he never actually won an election and only got the job based on the succession law. As they talk, Emilio asks Jason why he lives in such a neglected state, a crammed inn and attic. The latter reveals that he actually does have a home, not that far away from that church, but ever since the death of his wife, he couldn't bring himself to go into that house. It is obvious that Jason never fully recovered from the tragic accident and now prefers to spend most of his time alone. His decision to do so is also encouraged by the town's pastor Nicky, who hinted that living there would make him slightly closer to God. Emilio then asks if he actually feels any more religious or even more peaceful than he did a year ago. But the lonely widower replies with nothing, indicating that he actually doesn't. Later that day, Jason is pruning the church's plants when Pastor Nicky arrives, tries to put on a happy face, and even compliments her new peach-colored nail polish. However, Nicky immediately sees the sadness behind his happy facade. She tells him that whatever happened was not his fault, and encourages him to move forward. These words strike Jason like a ton of bricks, and he finally decides to shake up a few things in his life. He asks Nicky if he can clean out the attic, to which she happily agrees. That evening, Jason begins to move out all the junk from under the window of his room. Most of this stuff seems to be old and useless, until he notices something really strange. There is a miniature model of Littleton placed in one corner. He quickly grabs it and props it up onto stands. To his surprise, Jason sees that the model is exactly similar to the real town. Not only are the buildings, homes, and the church an exact replica, but even the cracks and potholes in the roads are present in this miniature model. He then notices a key present on its side and turns it. Surprisingly, the buildings start flickering, with several flashy lights. Says Jason. Jason is fascinated by its precise details, and even notices a miniature version of himself inside the church. He then begins to spray some water on the church to clean it off, but to his utter surprise, it begins to rain outside. Only a few seconds later, Jason looks out of the window and sees that the rain is falling only around the church. He goes in and sprays the miniature church slightly harder, only to see that the rain around has also increased. As he watches on in astonishment, the narrator of the story states that Jason now has the town in the palm of his hands. Following morning, Jason heads to the local diner for breakfast. He also chats with the waitress Anna, who is also Amelia's mom. Shortly after, Jason hears two men talking about yesterday's rain, find it weird that it only lasted for a few seconds and hit only one block of the town. Late that night, Jason heads back to the church and uses Pastor Nikki's peach nail polish to paint the miniature diner. The next morning, the town wakes up to a new paint job on the diner. Nobody knows who did it, which upsets Anna at first, but she eventually warms up to it, since it adds a little color in the strapped town. Outside the diner, Jason notices an old woman tripping in a pothole, so Ver rushes to her aid. Her husband then reveals that they had put in a request for the mayor to fix the pothole a long time ago. However, everyone knows that the town's new mayor, Conley, doesn't care about Littleton or its residents. Later, Jason takes the suggestion box home with him to fix the town's problems himself. He goes through each letter and fixes many things around the miniature model. For every pothole he fills and every tree stump he uproots, these actions get mirrored in real life. Even tests his new power by putting a chicken bone on the miniature street. Seconds later, a life-size chicken bone appears on the real street, scaring the crap out of a dog, Reggie. As the days pass by, the town reacts positively to all these mysterious changes. Many also start to expect that Mayor Conley is behind, as the council elections are around the corner. This irks Jason especially because he hates the mayor. Nonetheless, he continues his good work and decides to build a model sign, declaring Littleton as the most magical small town in America. He places it on the corner of the model, right on the town's entrance. Next day, a life-size sign appears, bringing in hordes of tourists from the interstate highway. As the weeks pass by, the town slowly flourishes again, and several residents decide to stay back in Littleton. A few days later, Jason attends Pastor Nikki's morning service, where she talks about the town's mystery helper, who has been dubbed Udanta. Just then, a churchgoer loudly theorizes that the helper is Conley. The mayor, who is also at the service, is shocked but doesn't deny it. That chicken bone there, it was me. When everyone in the town is sleeping that night, furious Jason drops a pebble on a red model car parked outside the mayor's miniature home. The next morning, the town wakes up to find a meteor has totaled Conley's sports car. As he furiously investigates the scene, he sees Emilio laughing in the distance. The mayor then grabs his notebook and sees that he has drawn the smashed car. This sends him into a fit of rage, and he verbally attacks the boy, prompting Anna to defend her son. Despite this, the shrewd mayor regains his composure and speaks charismatically to the rest of the town. He gives a rousing speech that ends with him calling himself the Udanta. This draws applause from the crowd, but Jason is less than impressed. Late that night, Jason places his pet tarantula in the miniature town streets. Around the same time, Conley is taking a leisurely stroll through the streets. This is when a huge building-sized tarantula shows up, terrifying the mayor. But a satisfied Jason soon takes the spider, and the giant version gets pulled up into the sky, leaving the mayor visibly shaken. The following morning, a paranoid Conley sees Emilio painting a giant spider graffiti and demands answers. But Anna steps in once more and angrily tells Conley to talk to her if he has a problem their son that weekend. Pastor Nikki checks in on Jason before going to sleep. They discuss the town's recent turnarounds, and he insists that Conley isn't the mystery helper. However, Nikki says that they should focus more on the action rather than who did it. She adds that anyone is capable of good change, even the most stubborn people. Upon hearing this, Jason decides to stop terrorizing Conley and returns to his good deeds. He now wants to add bigger and more lights to the Littleton sign. This newly upgraded sign appears more attractive and shines brighter than before, but it also drains a lot of electricity, causing the town lose power. The next day, an emergency meeting is held in the church. The townspeople are obviously panicked and demand that Conley fix it. But when he fails to say anything, the people accuse him of ulterior motives. They claim that he's trying to kick everyone out and buy the leftover real estate. Conley doesn't have an answer, so he cowardly leaves the church. He then spots Emilio across the street, drawing in his notebook. Conley grabs it out of his hands and shows the town his drawings, linking the boy to every recent bizarre happening. Following this, the hunt starts diving into chaos, with most of them demanding solutions from Conley. With no other choice, Jason steps in and finally admits to being behind everything. He insists that he only wanted to help the town, while Conley nearly destroyed it. To prove it, Jason goes up to the church attic and places his engagement ring beside the model, mentally apologizing to his wife for letting her down. He also lights some matches in the street of the miniature town. This causes a huge bonfire to appear in the real street. Shortly afterwards, Conley and the sheriff intrude on Jason and witness the model in action. The shrewd mayor gets evil thoughts and ponders turning the town into the New Vegas. With the model's powers, he then demands the sheriff seize it by force. Jason tries to stop him from doing so, but they end up bumping into the model, knocking it off the stands. This causes a massive earthquake to erupt outside. But when he put it on the stands in the first place, the town did not float. This story is not realistic. Scene then shifts to the following day as Anna, Jason and Pastor Nikki are walking down the streets. Jason says the model is now broken, so he has no way to re-establish the town. However, his gold engagement ring is landed in the town. In real life, and it is huge. Figure that the massive ring will provide the money for the town to be re-established. Nearby, a newscaster reports it is one of the largest pieces of gold ever found, suggesting that the town will flourish. Well, thank you for watching.